All right, this week on the podcast, I'm joined by my dad. It's the 2-year anniversary of the podcast, so I wanted to make sure that I did something special. Asked him to come on, and we just had a great conversation. 40-minute conversation, reliving some of the memories that we've had over the years, attending different sporting events, talk a little bit about coaching, umping, kids sports, all that fun stuff. So it was a great conversation. Honestly, one that I'll cherish. Don't know how much people enjoy it, but if you know me or my dad, I think you might get something out of it. So thanks for checking it out. This is the Randy Forcier Podcast. As always, if you can do me a favor, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. I do appreciate the support. I appreciate everyone that mentions to me that they listened to an episode or saw so-and-so or learned something. That stuff means the world to me. So we'll keep it going. Here's my dad. All right, Dad, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, of course. I've been looking forward to this. Yeah, it's something new, different, and I'm proud of you for doing this, and it's an honor to be on.
Well, this is actually the 2-year birthday of the podcast, and that's why I wanted to have you on, kind of a special milestone type episode. And I'm like, who can I have on the podcast to have like a fun conversation? And we finally got past some technical issues, and here we are.
Yeah, it did. We worked hard for it. You worked hard to get this to happen.
I absolutely did. So you never thought you'd be on a podcast, I'm sure.
Exactly, yeah.
Have you ever listened to a podcast outside of mine?
Yours?
No, probably not.
Not really.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad you at least...
Howard Stern count?
Howard Stern is like that in-between spot. Like not quite radio anymore, but not quite a podcast. But like, yeah. They probably talk about a lot of stuff that like people would talk about on a podcast.
Yeah. That was probably 10, 15 years ago. Anyway. And
now podcasts have kind of taken over. So special episode, wanted to kind of go down memory lane with you on a few things. I remember a time, I don't know when this was, but I think you told me and Matt, maybe Curtis, it was like, we don't hunt, we don't fish, we go to like sporting events. It's kind of like our thing, that we always did together. And I wanted to go over some of the things that we've seen over the years, relive some of those memories, talk a little bit Boston sports, if you're up for it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think the first sporting event is that you brought me to? Because I think I know what it is, but...
It's either a Sox or a Celtics. I'm going to go Celtics.
So what I remember, the first sporting event that I think I went to with you was a Celtics game, and it was against the Spurs, I believe, back in 1992. And there's two things I remember about it. It was in the Old Garden.
Yeah.
It might have been one of the only handful of games I'd ever gone to see over there. But the thing I remember is that Larry Bird was still on the team, but he didn't play because he had back issues.
Yes. Yeah. I remember that.
He actually ended up retiring, a few months later. But I think that was the first sporting event that we went to. I don't know if you remember any of that stuff.
Yeah, I do. Now that you mentioned that part, the one that I remember, one of the more famous ones was when we went to go see Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've seen him a bunch.
Yeah, we saw him a few times, but there was one time we went and we got real good seats. There were like 2 rows behind him. So I thought that was a special moment.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
So that was when he was on the Wizards.
Correct. Yeah.
So I think we saw him a handful of times in the 90s when they were like very good, like peak Bulls. I know we probably went once or twice. I think we went with the Makos one time.
Yeah.
And we got a chance to see MJ in his prime for sure. That was like a very big deal. It felt like. Yeah. But then when he came back, I think we got to see him two times. I think we saw him one other time with the Wizards, and then we got those seats where we were literally like the first row right behind the bench.
Yeah, we were right behind him, and I know you were a big Jordan fan growing up, and I think that kind of kicks things off. Like I said at one time that we don't do any fishing or hunting or any of that stuff. It's always been sports ever since you were 5-6 years old, and t-ball and I mean that's all I did. I played sports, and that was my thing. And you guys are fortunate that you, Matt, and Curtis all kind of followed suit with playing sports and all.
Yeah. So we always had obviously a love of sports, and then going on to see all these cool things over the years. So another Celtics game that comes to mind, I don't know if you remember this one, but I was in high school. It was against the Raptors, and I think we went with the Cincadas, if you believe it or not, if you remember this. But Vince Carter hit a game-winning shot at the buzzer.
Yeah.
And he was sitting on his butt afterwards. And I think I was probably like the only person that was excited about it, because I wasn't like full-blown Celtics fandom at that point. Yeah. I was like, I remember always going to Celtics games to see like the best player on the other team.
Yes.
And like, so I was like a big Vince Carter guy growing up. I think he probably just won the slam dunk competition or was around that time. Amazing dunker. And came to Boston, hit that shot. That's actually a pretty memorable shot, but I remember cheering and the whole place was freaking like pissed.
Yeah.
But
How old were you for that one? Do you remember?
Probably I'd probably say like 17, 18, somewhere in high school.
Yeah.
You know, that was a memorable one, or at least for me.
Yeah, we're going back a long ways. I don't quite remember that one, but there's so many. I mean, between the Celtics, Red Sox, and Pats games, of course.
Not Bruins, which we will get to. Closing the loop on the Celts. We did get a chance to go to Aubrey's first, I think, playoff basketball game together. Me, you, Curtis, Aubrey. She was probably, I don't know, 6 years old at the time, something like that.
I remember that. She was so excited.
Yeah, it was pumped. We were able to take her to that game. So, I mean, that was just a few years ago. So going back from 1992 to, I don't know, 2020, something like that. Probably, I think it was probably before COVID. You know, we've gotten a chance to see freaking dozens of games.
Yeah, well, we're still doing that. Now you're starting it with your kids, right?
Yeah.
You brought Aubrey to a couple of games. Have you brought Ellie at all?
Me and Ellie went to one game, which was awesome. It was super memorable. Yeah. It was like right after COVID, or in the couple of years after COVID. So it was kind of like a mask scenario, a little bit different, but still fun.
Yeah.
And haven't gotten a chance to bring Nora. But like, I don't know that I can bring Nora without bringing the other ones now. So it's...
Well, you got 3 girls. I had 3 boys. So at some point you had to rotate. You benefited because you were the oldest.
Yeah.
So we started and we went to many games, and then Matt came along, and then eventually Curtis came along as well. But there's been many times it's been just either you and me, or me and Curtis, or me and Matt.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's, you go with one of your brothers. Because it's easy to get 2 tickets and 4.
Yeah, for sure. And now with us having, with Tara wants to come, it's even harder to get 5.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be tough. But
now that the Celtics are good, it's been pretty expensive to go to games now. Like probably a lot more so comparatively to back in the day. You know, like just seems like
I was looking at the playoff tickets because I was thinking about possibly going. They were about $320 for nosebleed, 24 rows up in the corner.
Wow.
It's crazy.
It really is.
I know. They've come, prices in every sporting event's been nuts.
Every concert, every sporting event, but hopefully there's...
How about Taylor Swift? How's that?
Taylor Swift concert ticket prices are a whole other category. Yeah. That really is like a category of its own, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, always had like amazing trips to the Celtics. At least the way I remember was always like me and you. When it came to like me, you, Matt, and a friend, or me, you, Matt, and Curtis, it was always Patriots games.
Yeah. And
we've been going to Pats games forever.
We try to make it 4 of us one time a year at the very least. And sometimes we'll just have 2 tickets and we'll just figure out who's going to go and that type of thing. But
I mean, now
we're trying to do the same with the Red Sox. I think so. Red Sox, we've done pretty much the same as well. Try to get to the standing room on the Monster.
Standing room on the Monster, which I will get to. Okay. But when it comes to Pats games, it's actually funny because it shows you like kind of the memory that, like, you might not remember the first Patriots game or the first Celtics game, but like I remember it. You know what I mean? That's what I hope that Aubrey remembers that stuff. Yeah. But the first Patriots game that I remember going to is a game against the Colts, and it was pre-blood, so it was old Sullivan Stadium. It was sitting on benches. We didn't really start to go a lot until the end of their run at that stadium, and then when Brady kind of came into the mix. But I do remember going to a game that was like, I felt like it was a field goal game against a crappy Colts team when we didn't even have a good quarterback. Do you remember? I mean, you might not remember that one, but it was probably in the mid-90s as well, late 90s.
No, I remember snowballs being thrown at Matt when you wore a Dolphins jersey.
Yeah, so that's the thing about the first run of our Pats games.
Yeah.
The first 10 games that we went to were all Dolphins games, right? Because Matt was a
Dolphins fan. Yeah, exactly. And we went to Canton too to see Marino.
We absolutely did.
That's a whole nother story right there.
Well, the Canton trip was like the culmination of Matt's Miami fandom, right? I think after that we stopped going to Miami's games and we started mixing it up with whoever was playing. But up until Marino left, and maybe even a little bit after, it was Miami, and that actually caused us to see some pretty fun games, though, because one game that comes to mind, I believe it was Pats won the Super Bowl in 2001. And I think the last regular season game in that old Sullivan Stadium was against the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember this, but Patriots won because they were on that run with Brady that they ultimately won the Super Bowl. But so they won that last game. And I don't remember if it was close or not, but then all the players went around the perimeter of the field.
Yeah. Giving everybody high fives and stuff.
Giving everyone high fives because I don't know if they knew if there was going to be another game in that stadium.
That's right.
There might have been games in the afternoon that kind of made the schedule fill out. They ended up back for the Snow Bowl, but we saw the last regular season game there, and I don't know if you remember. I think John Shea was with us.
Yeah.
And they, the Patriots went on to win the Super Bowl, and they had this like nice coffee table book that was made for the Patriots run, and they had pictures of the fans going around high fiving, and you could actually see, I think, me and John in it or something like that. So. Yeah. It was a memory that obviously we'll always have.
Funny, there's so many, and the one that you and I went to Tom Brady. Well, I'm sure you're going to bring that up at some point too.
That's
when Tom was back as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Yeah,
and you got tickets. You surprised me, which was amazing. Was it a Thursday night?
No, it was Sunday night.
Sunday
night because it was like the national game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was Brady's return to Foxborough. And you got tickets, and it's like, oh my God. And we saw a great game, and it was wet, and we were running late, and we got stuck in traffic, and we did a few things we probably shouldn't have as far as getting to the game, where we had to go through somebody's backyard to jump over a fence. And
oh my God.
Which, that was the easy part. The tough part was getting back, trying to see which fence it was.
Oh, man.
That we jumped over, and it was somebody else's.
Well, we're used to tailgating. We're used to getting there. 4 hours, parking in one of those lots, cooking food, and then walking in with plenty of time. But this was a night game. It was somewhat last minute. We tried to leave plenty early, but I've never experienced traffic like that at a Patriots game. You follow, I think we had like an estimated time of arrival with Google Maps or whatever, and it seemed fine, but it kept getting pushed back. And it was at the point where like, we're not going to see the beginning of this game if we don't make a move. We're sitting on Route 1. And I think at some point we just made a decision to pivot off to the right. And we're like, we're going to just park in a neighborhood and, basically run over to the field. And we parked in a cul-de-sac, went through some woods, jumped over a 8-foot fence that honestly, you came down hard on that.
Yeah. It wasn't a smooth landing.
That could have been a night ruiner.
Yeah.
But
well, it was cold, so I was heavily padded. So I just bounced off the ground.
But we ran out and basically like walked fast. And that was back when, again, COVID stuff. So like the line to get in through security was like.
Did we see the kickoff or did we miss it?
We saw the kickoff. I think we saw Brady and the players return to the field, but we didn't get a chance to like take in his warm-ups and maybe the first time he came on the field. Yeah. It was kind of like that time where they run on the field, 10 minutes before the game starts. And we obviously had decent enough seats, and it was definitely wet, and Tampa ended up winning.
Yeah.
Pats missed a field goal that would have tied it, I believe.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was freaking happy. I wanted Brady to win that game. So personally.
Oh, he got an amazing ovation. Everybody just stood up and cheered for everything he did. I mean, nobody really blames him for what he did going to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there was some boos, maybe a little bit, but like there was generally positive.
Yeah, well, I think when they booed, everyone else cheered even louder and just drowned it right out. So, yeah.
I was glad to have been able to see that. You see his last game in Foxborough.
Yeah. No, that was great. Yeah. That was great, man. That one, well, that one's only a few years ago. So that one I remember very, very well.
But yeah, I mean, we don't have to get into details, but climbing fences and running through backyards afterwards. That was that was wild.
It's one of those, how do we get into this situation? So, oh my God.
We're going through some bushes and we're just like, what am I freaking doing with my life right now?
I had a bad leg or something and you were running like a madman. I couldn't keep up with you. And I swear somebody was chasing us. I don't know if it was dogs or a guy with a shotgun, but somebody was behind us, and we finally got to a point where we blended with the crowd. And
it was fine. Well, a fence may have been broken.
Well, yeah, that
that might have had something to do with it, or at least it sounded like it was broken.
Yeah, well, that's the noise that probably woke him up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was what time was that? Was 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, that one was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Another one that comes to mind is that snowball game. Like you were saying, that was a big snowstorm. I forget what year it was, but it's the one, I think it was like a 7-0 game. We were stuck in traffic for till halftime, maybe.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Is there two?
I let you guys out because the parking lot was closed.
Well, I think James was with us, and James and Matt walked out ahead.
Yeah.
And then I stayed with you for a bit, and eventually I went out by myself and walked.
Yes.
And then you eventually met us, but I felt like you got there in the third period.
I got there in the third quarter, probably halfway through the third quarter.
Is that not the game that Brewski picked off that pass and ran it into the end zone?
Yeah,
and the picture that you see all over the place.
Yeah,
and the snowballs are going in the air.
Yeah, you still see that every once in a while. They still show that highlight.
Yeah. It was a great highlight.
Oh, that was great. Oh, yeah, that was one. Yeah, absolutely. That's one I remember as well.
So was Matt getting snowballs thrown at him at that one, or is that
no? That was another game.
Yeah,
I think there weren't many people. So I think Miami. No, was Miami winning? Or I just remember there weren't a lot of people. We always stay to the end, no matter what the score was. We said we're going to stay to the end,
except for like this past year. But
and then this one that day, I remember just walking away, and they were throwing snowballs at Matt. How old was he then? 13.
He was not old.
Yeah, and I was covering him, walking out. Trying to get clear from the snowballs that were being thrown.
But the reason that he got snowballs thrown at him was because of the jacket he was wearing. Obviously,
he was wearing Dolphins jersey. He was wearing a merino jersey.
Yeah. So it's honestly kind of rightfully so for him. Hopefully, it taught him a lesson.
I don't remember much about that game, but I remember getting the snowballs. So.
Yeah. That was those are, such good memories. We used to have awesome seats when we go to the game, and things certainly change, and we still typically get pretty good seats when we go. But we used to be 5 rows up every single time we went to the game.
Well, if we're going to go once or twice a year, try to get good seats. It's the only way to do it. We're just so used to it as well. We've always had good seats when we go.
Being in that lower section, like that lower tier, is a big difference from being in that upper tier. Do you remember the Cowboys game? I don't know if you remember the specifics, but it seemed like a bunch of people from Biddeford were at this game because there's a bunch of weirdo Cowboy fans.
It was just a few years ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah,
but the Patriots won. It was actually a last minute play to Aaron Hernandez, and there's a video that I took of all of us that we kind of went nuts. Yeah. And maybe I'll even share it as part of promoting this episode. But that one is a memorable one for me because Zach Wentworth was there, Josh Morin's there,
that's right.
All these guys that are
Cowboy fans. Oh yeah,
Cowboy fans, and then we won it at the end, Brady to Hernandez. So hopefully we have some good memories ahead with the Pats. But past couple of years have been brutal. God, they've been brutal. That last game we went to last year, I think it was Chargers in the rain, 6-0, something like that.
Yeah, that was pathetic. They went to, I think, 3 games in a row where they just couldn't move the ball, no first downs. Oh my God, it was terrible. I just read something a couple of days ago about the Pats. I think they picked like 30 out of 32 this year. It's not looking. Really? Yeah, there's no hope right now because there's just no faith in.
Yeah, we'll see how it all goes, but it's definitely my hype meter is pretty low on the Pats, at least right now. But ton of great games. You might not remember this either, too, but we did see the Flutie drop kick. You ever hear? Remember?
Yeah, I do. That was on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when we had the Marks tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
His seats was about 8 or 9 rows from the field, about on the 10-yard line, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. Remember that. Yes.
Well, it was just a weird factoid type thing because I don't think it was done before that for a long time, and I don't even know that it's done since. But
nobody was expecting it,
Yeah.
He just runs out there and goes, "What's he doing?" And drop kicks it in for the extra point. Yeah, that was great.
Which is really really a weird play. But Canton, so we had a chance to go to Canton, and we saw Dan Marino and Steve Young specifically that come to mind as the 2 guys that got inducted to the Hall of Fame, which is a pretty cool experience, I think.
Yep. Oh, that was great. That was a great. Yeah, remember I bought tickets for Matt to get a picture and an autograph, I believe.
Did he get a picture? I know he definitely I definitely did not go to that because that was very much Matt's thing, but he did get a chance to meet Dan Marino and Steve Young, and
he did. That was a big bonus for him. So
well, hey, Dan Marino to him was like Michael Jordan to me growing up. So
I'm glad he was able to go. Of all players, why Dan Marino? He was a great player and all, but I don't know what it was about him that Matt he was just all about him,
He was good.
I think he was probably 14 or 15 before we finally converted him, And
honestly, I think even later. And even now, I think he's still a closet Dolphins fan. We're just waiting for the Dolphins to be good, and then the jersey's going to come back out.
The Dolphins are playing better than we are right now, but it's still.
But that was a cool experience to see. And we talk about going back when Brady gets inducted. What do we got? 4 years now, so we'll see how.
Well, they
what the
got that
cost
big
of that's
event coming up in June too, where they're going to retire him into the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I was talking to Curtis about this the other night. He was looking for tickets. He tell you about this?
Yeah. We're trying to get tickets. We're trying to get 4 tickets. So,
Yeah. I mean, well, we can talk more about it, but I think it's like 3.25 to go for nosebleeds.
Yeah, that's not face, is it?
I don't know. He said he was looking, and that's what he said it cost. If that's face, then that's freaking wild.
Yeah, they can almost name their price, and it's going to sell out anyway. But
I mean, are they really going to have 70,000 people at this stadium for? I honestly, I don't even know whatever they're going to do, because what they did when he came back for Game 1 last year seems like it was pretty good. He got a chance to speak. He was recognized. Like, what are they even going to do at this thing?
Yeah,
I would love to see it if we were able to.
It's getting closer to the date, and we're still working on it. But we'll see. We'll see. It'll be on TV too. It'd be great to be there for sure. But
little side tangent: did you get a chance to watch the Tom Brady roast?
I did. I saw it in bits and pieces. I had about an hour to kill, and I go, well, I'll watch it, thinking it was going to be an hour long.
Yeah.
Then I look, I go, holy moly, this is like 3 hours long. So I watched. I think that first hour was probably the best, because I did see the rest of it afterwards. Yeah. But with Kevin Hart, just man, awesome. I don't get offended easily, but I was. Oh my god, I can't believe some of the things they're coming out with. It's just incredible. It was good. It was Nikki Glaser and
she was freaking awesome.
Jeff Ross and
those guys are good. Like Drew the guys that do the roast.
Drew Bledsoe did well too.
He did great. I thought Bill Belichick did good.
Yeah.
Gronk's always kind of a meathead, and I don't think he's funny, and his whole like dumb act isn't funny for me. I mean, I thought he did okay. I thought Edelman did pretty well.
Yeah.
I actually thought Brady's part was a little bit weak, but the comedians, the roasters.
Did you think he was drinking that whole time?
No.
I know Bledsoe was, but do you think, because he was sipping on something, I don't know what it was, but
he made a comment about tequila, but I don't know if that's all for show or not. I mean, I don't know if he really drinks at this point.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was probably water, because he didn't seem like he was, under the influence.
Yeah, I mean, Brady doesn't get drunk anymore, but he took it all. I think the only thing that was off limits, it seemed like, was his kids, and then the Robert Kraft stuff, when I think Jeff Ross made a comment about that, and he went up to him. I don't know if you saw that part, and he whispered in his ear, he's like, "Don't say that shit again," or something. I think he whispered in his ear. Right? Yeah, because I guess I read something someplace that was the agreement. Like, if there's one thing that was off limit, it was like Robert Kraft's whole situation with that massage parlor and his kids, obviously. Like, I don't even think that goes without saying, probably. Mm-hmm. But yeah, then Jeff Ross said it, and that's when he walked up to the podium and was like, "Don't say that shit again." And they never did. No one ever mentioned that again. But pretty much everything else was very much on, in balance.
I read that Nikki Glaser cut. She had one joke that she did not use.
Yeah.
On Tom Brady.
Really? Did she say what it was, or is it?
It was about. There was a picture a few years back of Tom kissing his son on the lips.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
She had a line for that, but for some reason, I don't know why, but she did not use it. So
Curtis and I were talking about that. We were surprised no one brought it up, but I wondered if it was like too close to bringing his kids into the mix, and that was, again, off limits. So it's like, maybe you leave that one off because the kids aren't really fair game, But yeah, I'm surprised no one brought that up.
Yeah, no. I didn't think she had a filter at all, but I guess she cut back on that one.
She was
Jeff Ross doesn't have a filter. Anything goes with him.
Those guys are great. So anyways, I would watch it again. Curtis told me to watch it
too. Yeah. Yeah. Edelman was making Hernandez jokes, and it was.
Those made me cringe a little bit.
Yeah.
Those ones were. I mean, I guess anything's fair game, but those ones made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But I guess that's what a roast is, Yeah. So
I thought Kevin Hart was he was great, perfect guy for the host.
He's funny.
Yeah.
He's funny. I think he came to Portland a couple years ago, and I kind of regret not seeing him because he's a pretty funny dude.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that was good. Red Sox memories. Anything come to mind at Red Sox games?
Well, of course the home run ball.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the one I figured you would think of first.
Yeah, well, that's what I still think about every now and then, which is just amazing because it was the first year that they put seats on the Monster. Mm-hmm. And you and I think it was a Saturday afternoon. It was a national game, and
I think I think this was post car accident for me too, or within the few months afterwards. I feel like I remember like limping around up to the.
So this was it could have been because it probably was in June or July. It was a beautiful day outside, and I think Matt had a baseball game, so it was baseball season.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was junior high or whatnot, but yeah, that stands out. That stands
Yeah.
out. You still have the ball?
I still have the ball. So the story is that we're on the Monster. We actually had seats. It wasn't standing room only ones at this point. But Nomar gets up. And it was before he got traded, because I think the Red Sox went on to win the World Series that year. He got traded for whatever his face is from the Angels. But anyways, this is his last season. Nomar hits a freaking ball that as soon as it left the bat, it was like very obvious that it was coming like right to you. And you freaking caught it like a champ.
I mean,
you know,
if I didn't catch, I mean, I caught it right here. If I didn't catch it, it would have hit me right in the chest.
Yeah, it was like perfectly hit right to you.
Yeah, it was like it was meant to be, kind of.
I mean, I didn't even have a chance to like go for it, or anyone did. It was just like a fairly hard hit ball, like right to you, caught it, boom. And then we were on TV. And didn't like someone call you and was like, "Are you guys at the game?"
Cell phones were just coming out then, I think.
I feel like maybe someone called me. Yeah, cell phones were very early.
Yeah.
But like, I think someone was like, "Hey, you guys at the game right now? Did Dad just catch a home run ball or something?" And I think they would refer back to us like later in the game. They would.
Well, 2 or 3 innings later, they came back to us opening from a commercial or something, and they showed you and I having a hot dog and a beer, and the ball was right there. And they go, "There's a father and son." They made a comment. There's a father and son enjoying a typical Red Sox baseball game. So that was
freaking awesome.
Yeah, that was great. I'm glad you still have the ball, by the way.
I absolutely still have the ball. Yeah. And then some girl offered to flash us for the ball.
Yes, some college students. Yeah, absolutely.
But she was not very good looking, if I remember correctly, because I remember the thought being like, I don't know if this is actually worth it for this great memory, because this girl was not. She was, I thought, kind of gross, if I remember correctly. But
yeah, well, they were drinking. There was a bunch of them, and I thought about it for about a half a second, and I said, "No, I got it."
I still have the ball, like I said. So best,
Yeah.
If I was like, "Oh yeah, I gave that ball away to Goodwill," then maybe you're.
Well, sometimes when you move, you lose things. Or,
No, but I still do have that ball. Another one that comes to mind. Oh, man, 2 more come to mind. I think we were at a game when Johnny Damon came back on the Yankees.
Yeah, sitting in the bleachers.
I feel like we were in the bleachers.
Yeah.
And Johnny Damon went to the Yankees after his run with the Red Sox. So it was like a big deal when he came back. And I don't think it was the first game. It might have been like one of the weekend games for that first run back. But I do remember like being there to boo him, because I was so pissed about that when he went to the Yankees.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, that's exactly. What about the catcher that came late? Who was his name again?
That was another one, Doug Mirabelli.
Yes. We were at that game too, which was a big deal. Yeah.
I don't know if I remember correctly, but he was always Tim Wakefield's pitcher. I mean, he was always Tim Wakefield's catcher.
Yes.
And it seemed like we always saw freaking Tim Wakefield pitch when we went to the game.
Yeah, exactly. It was always Tim Wakefield.
But
no matter what.
I think he either got traded away or signed someplace else, and whoever they got to replace Tim Wakefield wasn't just getting the job done, because Tim Wakefield's a knuckleballer. It's probably hard to catch him. Mirabelli had a good relationship with him. So they traded back for Mirabelli.
Yes.
And I think private jet back to Boston, and he was going to play the night of the game we went to. And I think he landed at like 6 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game or whatever, and they had a police escort to the field. And he was in his uniform when he got there, and then he like entered into that game, and we were there for that. It was
was that against the Yankees? Or it wasn't a playoff game, but I'm trying to think of the significance of the game. Was it just a regular season game?
I think it just was, because it must have been right at the trade deadline, probably. Yeah. And I'm sure it was a regular season game. Might have been the Yankees. We saw Yankees a decent amount back then.
Yeah.
But I will definitely always remember that.
Yeah, Wade could not. It had to be Mirabelli, because Wade could not. I think that's what happened. 2 or 3 games he struggled, so I think there was a build-up to that. And when he showed up, in dramatic fashion like he did, then it made it that much more amazing.
Yeah, that was definitely a good one. We also had a couple on the road trips. I'm sure you remember, we went to Baltimore and Toronto to see the Red Sox, which was freaking awesome. I don't know which one we did first. Might have been Toronto.
Toronto first. Yeah.
Toronto first, got a chance to see, what did they call it back then? Skydome or something like that?
Yeah,
it's not that anymore.
It's not Space Needle. It's
the CN Tower.
CN Tower.
Which is freaking very high. That was cool to see. And the stadium's right there. And it was cool because we got a chance to but like we saw players like out and about. Remember we went to a restaurant.
Yeah, we stalked out where the players were staying at. We'd go to the hotel to see if we can bump into some of them.
So I think we saw John Burkett. God, I'm pulling that name out of deep in my memory. Pitcher John Burkett. We saw him someplace on Saturday night, and he
Derek
signed.
Lowe. I remember Derek Lowe.
Well, that was Baltimore though, I think, which I want to get to. That was Baltimore.
All right. Yeah.
But we saw John Burkett someplace, and then the next day we were at the game behind the dugout, and he saw us.
Oh yeah.
And he recognized us, signed the ball, and threw it up to us in the stand.
Yes,
which was very
that's
cool.
right. I remember that. Yeah, that was cool.
But Baltimore was the one where I think we had a little bit more like rubbing shoulders with the players in Baltimore, because didn't you like go in a urinal next to freaking Derek Lowe or something like that?
Yep. Me and Derek Lowe side by side,
Yeah, you're like, making jokes.
He was half in the bag. But we had a conversation, we're talking. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe it. The guy is freaking huge too. He's like 6'4", 6'5", just a big guy. But they're just regular guys, really, when they're off the field for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw Veritek.
How that all started was we were watching a Red Sox game on TV. The Red Sox was a tough ticket back then.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then we were watching a Toronto game. They were in Toronto, and we're looking. I go, nobody's there.
Yeah.
So light bulb goes off. I go, geez, let me look into it. And the tickets were cheap, and nobody goes there. So the next time the Red Sox went to Toronto, we went there and spent Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right?
I think we saw a few games. Yeah, we spent the whole weekend.
Yeah,
we got a chance to take in the city a little bit, which is cool.
And then we did the same thing in Baltimore. Nobody was going there,
which was great to see. Camden Yards. Like both of those fields are unique, and it's kind of cool to see your team play away.
Yeah,
you must remember. Like we would see the guys go out at nighttime. They all dressed up. Maybe after the game. Oh man, where was it? I think didn't we see Johnny Damon with some like blonde girl?
Yeah.
And
that was Toronto.
That was Toronto. Okay.
Yeah.
We saw Johnny Damon with some blonde girl, whatever, like, that his wife.
Yeah.
And then maybe like a week later, like Johnny Damon's wife is on promoting some fundraiser on Nesson or something like that. I'm like, that is not the girl.
Dark hair. Yeah. No, that was an eye opener. That was funny as can be because, oh my God, because we thought Johnny's wife, he was with his wife, but he wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, I had no reason to think otherwise. I didn't know what she looked like.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, those guys, they travel a lot. They spend a weekend in the city. They're out and about. Like it's a weird life. I'm sure it's
very crazy. Life. No, I remember that too. It was kind of shocking, to be honest with you, because you don't expect that type of thing.
But, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's not the first time for these guys. But yeah, that was some great memories. So we've seen a lot of stuff. Not much Bruins stuff though. Me and you went to go see our first Bruins game together this season, I think.
Yeah, no, I know. That was pretty exciting. Well, they're playing well too. So, and I had a buddy who had tickets, so I was able to get him at face. And that was a great game.
And you've been going to more Bruins games over the past few years as well.
I went to 3 or 4. I went to see the game 2 of the playoffs just a couple of weeks ago
against Toronto.
Yes.
And they lost.
In overtime.
Lost
in overtime, actually. It was 1-1, and they lost in overtime. It was good. We had a great time. Everything was great about it, except, of course, the end result. But
Bruins games are fun.
Yeah.
They really are. Like, Bruins being good, that puck moves around. Those guys are great skaters, great passers. Like, the Bruins games are a fun experience.
Yeah, the anticipation of the near goals, and then when they finally score, the place just erupts. So it's great when they score 4 or 5 goals.
Yeah.
No, these 1-0 game, 2-1 games is tough, especially when they lose. But it was just another memory.
Absolutely. Is there anything else I missed? I was thinking about things before the pod. Like those are a lot of the things that I remember. Just great memories we had over the years. Is there anything else?
Sports wise,
probably not.
Right, that covers a lot. Yeah.
We'll have to make some new ones moving forward, but nothing on the books right now except for. Well, we'll probably do some Red Sox soon, and then Patriots will be there in the fall.
Once softball season's done, we'll do a Red Sox game. And,
softball season is crazy.
Yeah, no, it's with 3 girls in 3 different leagues is crazy. It's right.
Freaking every day.
You get something every day. Just about 6 out of 7 days. You don't do nothing on Sunday, so
nothing on Sunday.
5 out of 6
you might catch a day that doesn't have a game randomly throughout the week, but most nights are filled with games.
There's a lot of games. It's not like they're playing 6 or 8 games. They're playing what? I think Aubrey's got 15 games or so.
15 games in 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah. Then All-Stars is a second season. That's going to, from what I can tell, you guys are really strong. You're blowing by everybody right now. So I think you guys are going to go deep into the postseason as well.
I would think Aubrey's team will go to the state tournament. I mean, I could be speaking too fast on that, but I feel like they have what it takes to get to the state tournament. So then that means All-Stars from middle of June till towards the end of July.
Deep into
every
July.
day.
Yeah.
I don't know what'll
West and
happen.
Basic will probably be your only tough team, I think. But you played them already, right?
Yeah, we beat them. We beat them. I mean, it was a closer game than all the other ones, but they have a really good pitcher. So I mean, honestly they could. They're a great program. Like in general, we've beaten everyone like 15-2 or 20-2 or something like that.
Yeah, well, you get strong bats, and as long as the kids can swing at strikes, they're going to score a lot of runs. No doubt about it.
Coaching is a ton of fun. You coached me growing up, and that's kind of why I felt like I wanted to coach the girls.
Mm-hmm.
It's been interesting to see how many people don't do that. Like if you hadn't coached me growing up, I don't know that I'd be inclined to coach the girls. Truthfully,
I think you still would have. I mean, you want to, you like to get involved with things, especially when you see a huge need,
Mm-hmm.
and youth sports, it's all volunteers. You put a lot of time, people don't realize it unless you're involved. And I talked to some people, I didn't realize how much work is involved until I got, interested in, I mean, I don't want to give any names out, but there's people that put a lot of work in there, a lot of work.
Ton of work, and honestly, it's very appreciative. Or I'm very appreciative of it because it's like we league wouldn't survive without it. And we play a team this weekend that I can clearly see doesn't have that. I don't want to mention the team, but like the coaches were some parents that just were voluntold they were coaching that day, and they had deer in the headlights look the whole game. They had their second baseman playing on second base. After the game, I'm spending 15 minutes with them to talk about the difference between a force out and a tag out and why this person did that. And it's like, I'm happy to do it because they obviously need to learn someplace.
Yeah.
But it just shows like some leagues aren't as organized, or they don't have the people that are willing to volunteer, and they just assume that they're going to drop their kid off, pick them up in an hour and a half, and like that's it. It's just
that happens too often, unfortunately. It'd be nice to have people get involved. I mean, just a canteen. I mean, a canteen is open all the time, and to get volunteers for that's tough. It's tough all the way through. Yeah, I coached all three of you guys. And
yeah,
baseball, football.
Yeah, there's a little bit of sometimes politic type stuff, but try to minimize it as much as possible. But it's super rewarding. I mean, hopefully it's good memories for the kids. I know it's good memories for me growing up, and I'm sure for Matt and Curtis too. So
it's weird when I was umpiring Saturday and Aubrey's on the mound to start the game, and it's go, oh my God, it's go, oh, geez, I have my strike zone, and I call the game fair, but it's just difficult. And hopefully, the first thing I said to her after the game, outside the field is, "You still like me?" Because it was just jokingly, and she was laughing.
I don't think there was anything controversial in any of the calls that you made, thankfully for you. But like,
no, it's the kids' games. We're just there to just kind of just keep it organized and stuff. And it's fun. I find umpiring kind of rewarding that way as well.
So you obviously helped me out in softball, which is, I appreciate that a ton. But like you're doing baseball all the way up to varsity baseball at this point, so it's a big difference between the two. But like you're pretty busy with umping.
Yeah, Saturday morning I was at Deering at 9 a.m. Then I was 1:30. I was at your game with the girls. But it's I enjoy. I tried playing golf. Okay, golf is just, me and golf just don't get along. It's just not fun for me. And 6 years ago, I said, well, I'll try umpiring because a buddy of mine was doing it. They were looking for help, and so I'll try it. And it's 6 years now, and you can never really get comfortable. You can't really think you know it all. You're learning all the time. There's situations. I mean, baseball, it's strikes and balls, it's safe and out, fair and foul, but there's a lot more than that. But that's 90% of the game for the most part. You're going to have your close plays. You just got to be knowledgeable. And for me, I enjoy it. To me, it's a hobby.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. The tough part is missing, some of the girls' games because I'm doing baseball. But my baseball schedule comes out way before your schedule comes out.
Yeah.
But I do the best I can. So
we need umps. We definitely need umps. The varsity baseball needs umps. Little leagues need umps. Travel teams need umps. So it's, I think it's great that you do it because I feel like umps are a dying breed. I don't know. I just wonder if people will be inclined to ump as the years go by.
I played baseball, most of my life, and once I became an umpire, you look at the game differently. Because as a player, you're looking at, the plays that people are making and stuff. So I watch a baseball game and I'm watching the umpires, see what they do and situations and how they handle them and that type of thing. But when you're on the other side, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Just totally different. completely.
I've I have some
Yeah.
friends that are football.
When the kids grow up,
referees.
you'll probably be an umpire too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I actually do like golf more than you, but if there's
Yeah,
a way
that's true.
to, it's almost like a form of community service, though, in a way. I mean, do you get paid for the varsity games? I forget. You get a little bit of money for those?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, well then that's good. But like, obviously, you don't for softball or Little League probably. So I could see it as a form of giving back to the community in a way, which is nice. So
Yeah,
I can see.
more little league level. Once you get to junior high, from 7th grade to varsity, it's all the umpires are paid.
Yeah, there's a budget for that.
Yeah, and it's guys. It's a lot of guys like me who always involved with baseball one way or the other. It's kind of another way to get on the field, to be on the field and talk to the kids. The kids are great,
Mhm.
from what I'm seeing, and people think of parents. I think we're gonna have to edit this part because I don't want to go. I don't want to go where I'm going to go, so we'll just scratch that part.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an awesome thing. I appreciate it. It's been fun having you at our games and being able to be a part of those as well in a different way. Been super helpful for me.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it tremendously.
All right. Well, listen, Dad, I think that's a good place to end it. I had a fun talking about all those awesome things that we've done over the years. And it's cool that it's totally fine with me that you didn't even remember some of them. I'm glad that at least I could remind you of some of those things,
Yeah, I know you did. I appreciate that because it's getting up there in age. So,
but some good memories, and
yes,
it's good for you to know that like it's those things are things that I remember. Like I hope my girls remember, even if I don't.
Yeah, no, you'll always remember it, and you're making new memories with your girls as well. So you got a ways to go with that. So it's great. It's great. Proud of you with everything you're doing, and I'm proud of you with this podcast as well.
Well, thanks, Dad. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So 2-year anniversary in the books. Now that you know what this thing's all about, maybe we'll do it again. Maybe we'll come on, talk about something different. All right.
Sounds good.
All right, Dad. Talk soon.
All right, pal.
Yeah.